Have you ever noticed a loved one acting just a little off? Maybe they're sleeping more than usual, or they push away their favorite apple pie without a word. These subtle changes can slip right by us, blending into the everyday. But what if they're trying to tell us something deeper? Something we might miss until it's too late. Today we're diving into 10 quiet signals backed by experts from places like Stanford Health and the Cleveland Clinic that might show up months before someone's final chapter. Knowing these can bring peace, clarity, and a chance to cherish every moment. So, grab a coffee, settle in, and let's talk about this with care, not fear. Oh, and I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time is it. Drop hope in the comments if you believe in facing these moments with love. If this resonates, hit subscribe for more heartfelt, practical insights. Let's get started. The next few minutes might just open your eyes to something life-changing. Sign 1. Unexplained tiredness that feels different. You know that bone-deep exhaustion that hits after a long day, when your whole body feels like it's sinking into a soft bed? Now picture 80-year-old Agnes from Vermont, who used to spend her mornings knitting cozy scarves for her grandkids, her fingers dancing over the yarn as she hummed old folk tunes. Her kitchen was always warm with the scent of fresh coffee, and she'd greet neighbors with a bright smile. But lately her daughter Clara notices Agnes dozing off mid-stitch, her needles slipping from her hands. By night, she's restless, wandering the house at 2 a.m., rearranging old photo frames or staring out at the moonlit snow. Clara thought Agnes was just bored, or feeling the weight of a long winter, maybe missing her old routines. But when Agnes started sleeping 18 hours a day, napping through her favorite radio show and waking only to shuffle to the couch, Clara knew something was different. According to Stanford Health, as we approach life's final months, the body begins conserving energy, like a lantern dimming to save its last glow. It's not just tiredness, it's the body slowing down systems like digestion, circulation, or even brain activity. The internal clock, that steady rhythm of day and night, starts to wobble, as Harvard Medical School explains, with the brain's circadian rhythm shifting. Daytime naps stretch longer, and nighttime rest becomes erratic, like a song losing its beat. For Agnes, her sudden naps weren't about laziness or a bad mood. They were her body's way of preparing, easing into a quieter phase where energy is rationed for what matters most. If you see this in someone you love, don't dismiss it as just getting old. Grab a simple notebook. Nothing fancy, just a few pages, and start tracking their sleep patterns. How many hours are they dozing during the day? Are they up at odd hours, pacing, or sitting quietly? If they're clocking 15 or 16 hours daily for over a week, it's time to have a gentle talk with their doctor. This isn't about rushing to fix something, it's about understanding what's happening so you can offer comfort. Maybe it's setting up a cozy chair by the window for their naps, or joining them during those late-night moments with a warm cup of tea. Clara started sitting with Agnes in the early hours, listening to her talk about her childhood winters, those quiet moments becoming a bridge between them. The danger is in missing this sign, assuming it's just a phase, and losing the chance to be present in a way that brings peace. Noticing this isn't about giving up, it's about choosing to care with intention, like tending a garden in its final bloom. It's about being there, maybe with a soft blanket, letting them rest a little longer while you hold space for what's to come. Agnes's quiet naps taught Clara to meet her where she was, with love and patience, creating moments that felt like a warm embrace. This sign often weaves into another, one that's easy to misread but carries a deeper truth, like a whisper you only hear when you lean in close. Sign 2. Losing interest in favorite foods. Imagine 82-year-old Frank from Oregon, whose Sunday pot roasts were the heart of his family's gatherings. Every week, he'd slow cook a roast with rosemary and garlic, the rich aroma filling the house, drawing kids and grandkids from miles away. His laugh would boom as he served steaming plates, his pride in every bite. But one Sunday, his son, Tom, notices Frank takes just a bite before pushing his plate aside, mumbling, "I'm not that hungry." The next week, he skips the roast entirely, sipping only a bit of warm tea. Tom thinks maybe Frank's tired or his tastes are changing after all, he's in his 80s. But when Frank drops 12 pounds in a month, his cheeks looking hollow, Tom knows something's up. The Cleveland Clinic's palliative care team explains that in life's final months, the body often slows its digestive system, like a factory shutting down non-essential lines. It's not about being picky or stubborn. It's biology redirecting energy to keep vital organs like the heart and lungs running. Food, even Frank's beloved roast, loses its spark because the body no longer prioritizes it. Smells that once brought joy might feel heavy, and flavors fade like an old memory. This isn't just a bad day, it's a signal. For Frank, his fading appetite was his body's way of focusing on what mattered most, conserving energy for the essentials. If you notice this, don't push big meals or guilt them into eating more. Try offering small, comforting bites, a spoonful of creamy oatmeal, a slice of soft apple, or a warm mug of broth. Keep it gentle, no pressure, just care. Track their eating habits quietly, noting how much they eat and how long the change lasts. If it persists for over a week, talk to their doctor not to force a fix, but to learn how to make them comfortable. Tom started sitting with Frank, sharing a bowl of mashed potatoes while they swapped stories about old fishing trips. Those moments weren't about calories, they were about connection, about filling the heart when the stomach didn't need it. The risk is in missing this sign, pushing plates that cause discomfort, or arguing over uneaten meals. Instead, focus on what brings ease: a soft blanket, a shared laugh, or just your presence at the table. Sometimes love isn't in the food, it's in the quiet moments you share, like a warm glow in a dimming room. Frank's quieter meals taught Tom to be present without pushing, to offer love in the stillness of a shared cup of tea. This sign often ties to another, one that's easy to mistake for something else, like a shadow you only notice when the light shifts. Sign 3. Pulling back from social moments. Think of 84-year-old Helen from Maine, who used to host lively card games every Friday, her laughter echoing through the neighborhood as she dealt hands of bridge. Her eyes would sparkle as she teased friends about their bets, her warmth a magnet for everyone. But lately, Helen's been skipping those evenings, saying she's too tired or just not up for it. Her phone sits silent, and even family dinners feel quieter, her usual chatter replaced by soft nods. Her daughter, Emily, assumes Helen's just feeling blue or needs space. But experts from Johns Hopkins say this withdrawal can be more than a mood swing. As life nears its end, some people naturally turn inward, like a tree shedding leaves before winter. It's not always depression, it's a quiet preparation, a way of sifting through a lifetime of memories and emotions. For Helen, stepping back wasn't about pushing people away. It was her heart and mind readying for a deeper journey. If you see this, don't try to drag them back into crowded rooms or force big conversations. Offer small, meaningful moments, instead a short visit with a cup of coffee, a hand to hold while watching the birds outside, or just sitting together in silence, like two old trees sharing the same shade. Emily started dropping by with a deck of cards, not to play but to reminisce about Helen's old bridge victories. Those visits became a lifeline, not a demand. The mistake is taking this personally, thinking they're shutting you out when they're really seeking peace. Keep the door open, not with expectations but with warmth. Ask yourself, are they craving solitude, or are they finding their own kind of calm? Caring sometimes means stepping back, but staying close, like a lighthouse guiding without overwhelming. Helen's quieter moments taught Emily to be present without pushing, to offer love in the stillness of a shared smile. This withdrawal often leads to another sign, one that might catch you by surprise but holds a tender truth, like a melody you only hear when the noise fades. Sign 4. Conversations with those long gone. Here's where things get soft and sacred. Picture 86-year-old Thomas from Colorado, a retired carpenter who still tells stories about building his family's cabin, his voice steady as he recalls every nail and beam. He's sharp, remembering his grandkids' soccer games with pride. But one evening his daughter, Lisa, hears him whispering, "Ellen, you're here, aren't you?" Ellen, his wife, passed away 9 years ago. Lisa's heart sinks, fearing dementia or confusion. But hospice experts from the Mayo Clinic say this is often something else: a gentle bridge to the past. As the brain adjusts to less oxygen or shifts in how it processes time, memories of loved ones can feel vivid, like stars shining brighter in a darkening sky. For Thomas, talking to Ellen wasn't confusion. It brought a quiet smile, like revisiting a favorite chapter in a well-worn book. Don't rush to correct them or say, "That's not real." That can spark fear or shame, dimming their peace. Instead, sit with them, Listen if they're sharing, and ask gentle questions like, "What's Ellen telling you today?" Write down their words. They might be sharing stories you've never heard, like treasures tucked in an old trunk. Lisa started joining Thomas in these moments, asking about Ellen's favorite dances or their old mountain hikes. Those conversations became a gift, a way to connect across time. The danger is dismissing this as brokenness when it's often a moment of comfort, a soft goodbye to those they loved. For Thomas, these talks were his heart's way of finding peace, of tying up loose ends in a way words can't always capture. If you notice this, lean in with love, not fear. Let them linger in those memories, and you might find a piece of their heart you never knew. Thomas's quiet whispers taught Lisa to meet him with openness, creating space for his memories to shine like a lantern in the dusk. This tender sign often connects to another, one that shows up in the body's strength or its quiet fading, like a leaf drifting to the ground. Sign 5. Sudden weakness in everyday tasks. Imagine 83-year-old Grace from New Hampshire, who's always tended her garden, her hands steady as she pruned her roses with pride. Every morning she'd sweep the porch, waving to the mail carrier with a smile that lit up the street. But this spring, her son, Michael, notices Grace struggling to lift her watering can or needing help to stand from her rocking chair. No falls, no illness, just a subtle shift, like a river slowing its flow. The American Geriatric Society explains that in life's final months, the body often pulls energy from muscles to keep vital organs like the heart and lungs running. It's not laziness or a lack of will. It's the body prioritizing, like a ship redirecting power to its core. For Grace, her weakening grip wasn't just ache, it was her body preparing for its next chapter. Ignoring this can lead to pushing too hard, asking for one more chore or walk that risks a fall or frustration. Instead, make their world safer. Clear rugs that could trip them, add grab bars by the bathroom, or place a sturdy chair for rests. Support what they can do, but don't demand more than they can give. Michael started helping Grace with small tasks, like carrying her garden tools, and they'd laugh about her old rose pruning tricks. Those moments weren't about fixing weakness. They were about sharing love. If you see this, don't brush it off as just getting old. It's a call to care with kindness, ensuring they feel supported, not pressured. Grace's quieter days taught Michael to meet her where she was, with a gentle hand and a shared smile. This physical shift often pairs with another sign, one you might hear before you see, like a whisper from the body itself that speaks of a deeper change. Sign 6. Changes in breathing patterns. You ever catch your breath after a brisk walk, feeling your chest rise and fall like waves on a shore? Now imagine 79-year-old Raymond from Georgia, a retired firefighter whose hearty laugh once filled the firehouse. His stories of daring rescues a family treasure. His wife, Elaine, notices something different during his afternoon nap. She's breathing shifts, quick and shallow, then pauses, long enough to make her heart skip a beat. Just as she leans in, worried, he breathes again, soft and steady, like a breeze settling after a gust. It's unsettling, almost like the room holds its breath with him. Elaine hesitates, not wanting to overreact, thinking maybe it's just age or a bad day. But the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization explains that these patterns, often called Cheyne-Stokes breathing, are common in life's final months. The heart and lungs slow, conserving energy like a candle burning low to stretch its light. For Raymond, these pauses weren't an emergency but a quiet sign his body was shifting gears, preparing for a gentler phase. Rushing to the ER might add stress, not comfort, piling on tests that disrupt peace without easing the journey. Instead, focus on keeping their space calm. Prop their head with soft pillows to ease breathing, crack a window for fresh air, or set up a small fan for a gentle breeze. Check in with a hospice nurse to guide care, not to fix what's part of the natural process. Elaine learned to sit with Raymond, holding his hand, listening to his breath like a soft rhythm, a lullaby of sorts. Those moments became a way to connect, not control, to be present in the quiet. The mistake is panicking, assuming every pause needs a hospital bed or a machine to force what's fading naturally. If you notice this, lean into what soothes. Play their favorite old jazz record, offer a gentle touch, or just sit close, letting the silence speak. Raymond's quieter breaths taught Elaine to hold space for him, to meet him with love, not fear, in those tender moments. She'd hum his favorite tunes, ones they danced to decades ago, and those sounds seemed to ease his rest. The danger is missing this sign, rushing to solutions that add chaos instead of calm, leaving you both drained when you could be sharing something sacred. If their breathing shifts, take a moment to observe and note how often it happens, how long the pauses last, and how they seem afterward. If it's frequent, talk to a doctor or nurse, not to alarm but to learn how to make them comfortable. Sometimes, a cool cloth on their forehead or a slightly raised bed can make all the difference, turning a moment of worry into one of care. Raymond's family found that keeping his room airy, with soft light and his old radio playing, brought a sense of peace that no hospital could. This sign, subtle as it is, often weaves into another, one that speaks less of the body and more of the heart's quiet work, like a melody played on the softest strings, waiting for you to listen closely. Sign 7. Tying up emotional loose ends. Sometimes, the heart speaks louder than words. Picture 85-year-old Lawrence from Nevada, a man who spent his life fixing vintage cars, his garage, a haven of grease and stories. One morning, he surprises his family by asking to call his estranged brother, Paul, whom he hasn't spoken to in 18 years over a forgotten feud. He also starts giving away his Tulsa wrench for his grandson, a screwdriver for his niece, each with a tale. This one helped me rebuild my first Chevy. Give it to Sam. He loved watching me work. His daughter, Karen, worries Lawrence is letting go too soon, that he's giving up. But hospice nurses, backed by the National Institute on Aging, say this is often a sign of emotional preparation, a deep need to mend old wounds or pass on pieces of a life story, like tying the final knots in a quilt. For Lawrence, calling Paul and gifting his tools wasn't about defeat, it was about finding peace, closing chapters with intention. Ignoring this can mean missing a chance to connect deeply, to hear stories or heal hurts that carry weight. Don't brush off their requests or dismiss their gifts as clutter. Help them make that call, write that letter, or listen to that story again, even if it's one you've heard before. Karen started sitting with Lawrence, recording his tales as he handed out his tools, each one a thread of his life woven into theirs. Those moments became a legacy, a gift beyond the metal and rust. Sometimes, love is in the listening, in helping them close a chapter with grace, not haste. Lawrence's quiet gestures taught Karen to meet him with openness, to lean into his need to resolve and share, not to pull back in fear. If you see this, don't shy away. Ask about the story behind that old watch they want to give away, or help them dial that number they've been thinking about. It's not about rushing to the end. It's about honoring their need to leave things settled, like a garden tended before winter. Lawrence's call to Paul wasn't just a conversation, it was a bridge rebuilt, a weight lifted. The danger is in overlooking these moments, thinking they're random when they're really a heart's way of saying goodbye, with purpose. If they mention an old friend or a regret, lean in, ask questions, write it down, make it real. Those stories might be the last gifts they offer, wrapped in memory and love. This emotional shift, so tender and profound, often pairs with another sign, one you might feel before you see, like a whisper from the soul that calls for closeness in the quiet. Sign 8. A quiet need for closeness. This one's so subtle it can slip right by, like a shadow you only notice when you pause. Imagine 81-year-old Dorothy from Minnesota, a woman who never asked for much, content with her morning tea and her old photo albums, flipping through memories of family picnics. Lately, when her son Mark moves to leave the room, Dorothy's eyes linger not with fear, but with a soft, pleading look, as if saying, "Stay just a little longer." Harvard Health explains that as words fade in life's later stages, the need for connection grows stronger, like a flame burning brighter before it dims. That glance isn't just sentiment, it's a silent call for presence, a heart reaching out without words. For Dorothy, those looks were her way of saying, "I need you near, even if I can't say it." Missing this can leave them feeling alone, even with family just steps away, like a lighthouse unseen in the fog. You don't need grand gestures or perfect words, just sit close, hold their hand, or play their favorite old folk song. Mark started lingering with Dorothy, reading aloud from her album captions or just sitting in silence, feeling the warmth of her presence. 5 minutes of being there can make them feel seen, safe, loved. If they're quieter than usual, look into their eyes. They might be asking for you to stay, not in words but in feeling. Dorothy's quiet glances taught Mark to be present without pushing, to offer love in the stillness of a shared moment. The mistake is rushing past these looks, assuming they're just tired or moody, when they're really calling for connection. If you notice this, slow down, bring a cup of tea, share a story about their old neighborhood, or just sit together, letting the silence speak. Sometimes it's about being a steady presence, like a tree offering shade without asking for anything in return. Dorothy's family learned to watch for those glances, to pause and stay, and those moments became treasures, small but heavy with love. The danger is in missing this sign, leaving them in emotional solitude when all they need is your nearness. If their eyes linger, ask yourself, are they seeking you, even without words? This sign, so delicate, often connects to another, one that shows up in their spirit, like a soft light glowing through a window at dusk, inviting you to stay close. Sign 9. A shift in mood or outlook. Sometimes, it's not what they say but how they carry themselves, like a change in the air before a storm clears. Think of 83-year-old James from Idaho, who used to grumble about the weather but always had a twinkle in his eye, teasing his grandkids about their muddy boots. Lately, he's calmer, almost serene, sitting on his porch, reminiscing about fishing trips from his youth or thanking his kids for small things, like fetching his glasses. His daughter, Anna, thought he was just mellowing out, softening with age. But palliative care experts say this serenity can signal an inner acceptance, a quiet readiness for what's next, like a river finding its calm before meeting the sea. It's not defeat, it's a heart settling into peace, letting go of old worries. For James, this shift wasn't about giving up. It was about embracing what mattered most: memories, gratitude, love. Don't mistake it for sadness or push for their old spark to return. Lean into their calm, ask about those fishing trips, or just listen as they share a quiet thank you. Anna started recording James's stories, finding joy in his gentle smiles, each one a window into his heart. Those moments were chances to connect, to share love in its simplest, purest form. The mistake is assuming this calm is a loss, when it's often a gift, a sign they're finding peace in their own way. If you see this, don't rush to fill the silent sessit with them. Ask about an old memory, or share a laugh over a past adventure. James's newfound peace taught Anna to meet him where he was, with openness and care, creating space for his heart to shine like a beacon in the twilight. The danger is in overlooking this shift, thinking it's just a quiet day when it's really a heart preparing, like a book closing its final chapter with grace. If they seem softer, more reflective, lean in. Those moments are fleeting but profound, a chance to share love that lingers. This shift, so gentle and deep, often leads to one final sign, one you might notice in their appearance, like a subtle change in the canvas of their body, calling for your care. Sign 10. Subtle changes in skin or appearance. Lastly, there's a sign so quiet it's easy to miss, like the first leaf falling in autumn. Picture 80-year-old Maria from California, who always took pride in her neat appearance, her silver hair pinned just so, her smile bright as she greeted neighbors with a wave. But her daughter, Sophia, notices Maria's skin looks paler, almost translucent, like moonlight on a still lake, and her hands feel cooler, like a breeze on a crisp evening. There's no fever, no pain, just a subtle shift, barely noticeable at first. The American Academy of Hospice and Palliative Medicine explains that as circulation slows in life's final months, skin can change in tone or texture, like a canvas fading before the seasons turn. For Maria, this wasn't dramatic but a sign her body was focusing on essentials, like a tree saving its sap for winter's quiet. Don't panic or assume it's illness. Focus on comfort, on keeping them warm with soft blankets, gently rubbing their hands to soothe, like warming a chilled morning. Check with a doctor to ensure they're at ease, not to chase a cure for what's natural. Sophia started wrapping Maria in her favorite knitted shawl, sitting close to share old family photos, each one a spark of memory. Those moments weren't about fixing anything. They were about making every touch a moment of care, a gentle embrace in the fading light. The mistake is overlooking this change, thinking it's just age when it's a call to be present, to offer warmth and love. If you notice their skin shifting, take it as a cue. Bring a cozy throw, hold their hand a little longer, or share a story about their old garden. Maria's quieter appearance taught Sophia to meet her with love, not fear, creating space for connection in the softest of ways. This sign ties all the others together, reminding us that love shows up in the smallest moments, like a gentle glow in the dusk, asking us to pause and care. These 10 SIGs asleep shifts, fading appetites, quiet withdrawals, past conversations, weakness, breathing changes, emotional closure, silent pleas, mood shifts, and skin changes aren't about fear. They're about love in its rawest form. Think of Margaret from Wisconsin, whose soft glances taught her daughter to stay present. Or Arthur, whose gifted wrench carried a lifetime of stories. Noticing these signs lets you meet your loved one where they are, with grace and care. Thanks for spending this time with me. If something here touched you, drop hope in the comments or share your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. If this helped, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and share this with someone who might need a friend, a neighbor, or a family member walking this path. Until next time, may your days be gentle, your moments meaningful, and may you always find love in the quiet spaces.